Hi everyone, I'm Katrina, and in this video let's go over how to create a website using Virtue, a responsive e-commerce WordPress website theme. So I received a number of requests on YouTube requesting that I create a video specifically about this theme, so thanks everyone for the great suggestion. Let's take a quick tour of the website we'll be creating in this video. So in this video I'm going to be showing you step by step from scratch how to get this website up and running. And as we see here on the left hand side you'll have your logo as well as your menu navigation area, and just underneath that you'll have your image slider. So on this image slider we have some calls to action. It's always a good idea on your website, especially on the home page, to have really clear calls to action. So I'll show you in this video how to set this up. Underneath the image slider we'll have a featured section, and here you can feature any kind of featured projects, photos, anything from your portfolio that you'd like to feature. You can feature that here, and I'll show you how to set this up as well. Next we'll have the latest from the blog section. Here we'll have a few excerpts from our blog post, our most recent blogs. And then finally underneath that we'll have another menu navigation area here represented by these blocks, which when I hover over them they activate and they turn a different color. So I'll show you how to set that up. Finally at the bottom we'll have our footer section. Here you can include customizable content. In this demo I'll be including a logo and a short description about the business, as well as a post gallery, featured products, and some social icons so anyone can easily connect with me on the social web, either through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Pinterest. Now most likely you're also going to want a number of different internal pages, so I'll show you how to set that up, starting with the About page. So when I click on About, here we're going to be adding an image as well as some text. Next you'll have your blog archive page. Here on the blog archive page, the really cool thing about this particular theme is we can feature a number of different styles for our blog excerpts. And for example, here we have an image, a title, and an excerpt. The next one, however, is an image carousel post, which when I click on these arrows here, it rotates to different images within the carousel. Then underneath that we'll have the image slider post, which again is a little bit larger size of an image with this rotating slider. I'll also show you how to add simply a static large image like this, and finally a video if you'd like to include a video right directly on the blog archive page. Now taking a look at one of the internal blog posts, I'm going to click on this one right here. We'll see here, this particular one at least at the top will also include this image slider, so I'll show you how to set that up. It will also include the blog post title, details about the blog post, including the author, any category it's grouped into, and comments. Then we'll have the actual blog post. Underneath that, it's always a good idea to include a way for your readers to easily share your content on the social web. So I'll show you how to add these social sharing features right here, so anyone can share the post to Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, or some other social network. Next, we'll have an author bio section, so you can include a thumbnail image of any authors on your site, the author name, and a short bio. And then finally we'll have a recent blog post slider right here, which will feature a recent post within your blog. It's always a good idea to include this if you can, because this helps to give your readers a way to explore other areas of your website, which helps them stay on your site longer, which is always a good thing. Okay, so looking on the right-hand side of this blog post, we'll also have a sidebar. The sidebar includes customizable content once again, and in this video I'll be including those social icons, as well as an email opt-in form so you can easily capture leads to your website. And then I'll be adding an image which also includes a call to action and a link that goes to a page within the website. So here, for example, we see the call to action is visit the collection, and when we click on this particular image it will go directly to the e-commerce store. Okay, so the next part of the website we'll be adding is the portfolio section, and here you can feature any kind of work within your portfolio, or photos, or even perhaps different products within your store. So here, for example, there's lots of different styles that this portfolio comes with in terms of the actual portfolio item pages. So looking at some of them, starting with this one, I'm going to click on the landscape slider. One of the first options for your portfolio item post page is this landscape slider. Underneath the landscape slider you'll have the portfolio item description and the portfolio details. Within the Virtue theme, there's lots of different styles for the portfolio items as well. So taking a look at the next item here, I'm going to click on this arrow right here to go to the next portfolio item. And here we can see, if you prefer, you can also add a video to your portfolio item. Once again, the description and the portfolio details will appear below. The other option for portfolio items, when I go to the next one, is Let's see, here we have an image slider on the left-hand side of the description. So that is another cool option for portfolio items here. We have the description and then the details below. Next, we have another video. So I'm going to kind of fast forward through that since we just saw the video. So you can include another video. And then here, when we go to the next item here, it is simply an image. So here you can include simply an image within your portfolio item if you prefer that. So there's all kinds of different styles of portfolio items, and I'll show you in this video how to set up each one of them. Next, we have the Learn page. If you'd like to add a page with a sidebar, I'll show you how to set that up. Here we have our page, and then we have our sidebar to the right. And then finally here we have our shop page. Now the cool thing about this style of this particular theme for the shop page is it's just a really clean, white, minimalist kind of display so that the focus of attention is truly on your products, which is always a good thing. So let's take a look at one of this actual products. So I'm going to click on the Brazil tea, and here we'll go to the actual product page where you'll have an image, the title, the price, a short description, and the add to cart button. When I click on the image right here, it opens up into a really cool lightbox display so I can see the product a lot easier. Underneath this section right here, you'll have a longer product description as well as a reviews tab if you have any reviews. And then we'll have some more related products. Just like with the blog posts, including the recent posts underneath the blog posts, when it comes to an e-commerce store, it's always a great idea to include related products below your actual product because it gives your potential customers some other options and other products to explore within your store. So next we have the contact page. I will also show you how to create a contact page so anyone can easily connect with you directly from within your website by filling out a form and clicking on a button. Okay, so let's go through the process that a potential customer would take if they want to purchase an item. So going back to the shop page, I'm going to click on this item here, this Brazil tea. And then here we see is the add to cart button. So I'm just going to click on add to cart. And then you'll get this message that says the tea was successfully added to the cart. If you'd like to view the cart, you can click on this button that says view cart. Here on the cart page, you'll have a thumbnail image of the product title, price, quantity, and the total. And then down below, you'll have a summary of your cart totals. So to proceed to the checkout, we can click on this button here that says proceed to checkout. And here we have the checkout page. So if you have a coupon, you can enter it in here. And in this video, I will show you how to set up coupons as well. A potential customer would then fill out their billing address and their shipping address. They would scroll down, review the details of their order, and then they would click on this button here to place order. So as we see here on the left-hand side, it says pay via PayPal. You can pay with your credit card if you don't have a PayPal account. So in this video, I'm going to be setting up the payment method as PayPal, but of course there's other payment methods you can use, and I'll show you in this video where you can set those up. Okay, so this is where we are headed toward in this video. I'm going to go back to the home page. We're going to be building a responsive e-commerce WordPress website theme using Virtue. Now, this is responsive, meaning that it's mobile friendly, and it's going to look beautiful both on mobile devices like like smartphones and tablets, as well as on laptops and desktops. So as a quick demo of the responsiveness of this particular theme, I'm just going to come to the bottom right-hand side, and I'm going to slowly drag the website to the left-hand side to reduce the screen size until we get about right here. And this is the view that we can expect on a smartphone, this smaller screen size right here. And as we can see, all the different elements on the web page, on the home page, have reordered themselves. Now we have a menu which is a drop-down menu, so we can really easily explore other parts of the website within this smaller screen size version. And all the other elements on the home page are now neatly stacked up one on top of the other, so they're still really easy to view directly within this smaller screen size. So that's what we refer to as a responsive WordPress website, and these days it's really important to make sure that your website is responsive, since more and more of us these days are using the web on our mobile devices like our smartphones and our tablets. So you're good to go in terms of mobile readiness when it comes to this theme. So this is where we're headed toward in this video. Let's get started. So before we get started, how much is this website going to cost? Well, we need several things. Number one, we need a domain name, and also we need some web hosting. In this video, I'm going to be using HostGator.com for both the domain name as well as the web hosting. I'm also going to be using a coupon code, WPCoupon25, to get an extra discount off of my order at HostGator. So if you decide to go with HostGator as well for the domain name and the web hosting, feel free to use the coupon code WPCoupon25 to get an extra discount off of your order as well. I also want to note that I do receive a small referral if you do use the coupon code WPCoupon25, so thank you in advance for supporting me and helping me to continue to make these free WordPress training videos. Next, once you have a domain name and the web hosting, we'll need a theme, and in this video we're going to be using the free responsive e-commerce portfolio theme called Virtue. So I will show you in this video where to get that and how to set that up. And finally, we need some time to build out the website. So because there's a lot of different pieces within this website, I'm estimating it should take roughly around 2 hours. So please set aside about 2 hours to get this website up and running. So the total to get started is less than $25. And again, that's using the coupon code WPCoupon25 at HostGator. So what are the steps needed to get this website up and running? Well, number one, we need to get a domain name and the web hosting. Step two, we need to install WordPress. And finally, step three, we need to build out the website. So let's take care of step number one, getting the domain name and the web hosting, by heading over to HostGator.com. So here we are on HostGator.com. To view the web hosting plans, go ahead and click on the button in the middle that says View Web Hosting Plans. And here we'll see there are 3 plans to choose from: the hatchling plan, the baby plan, and the business plan. If you're just getting your website up and running, most likely the hatchling plan or the baby plan will be a good fit for you. The main difference between these two is that the hatchling plan gives you a way to host only one domain name, whereas the baby plan gives you a way to host as many websites and as many domains as you would like. The other difference between these two plans is that the hatchling plan does not allow you to add an SSL certificate to your website. So in the event that you are planning on creating an e-commerce website, most likely the baby plan is going to be a better fit for you because you can add an SSL certificate which will provide extra security to your site. Now, keeping that in mind, if you plan on using PayPal as your main form of payment method for your e-commerce website, then you can use the hatchling plan because with PayPal, the SSL is included on the PayPal site. In general, though, if you are planning on an e-commerce website, I would go with the baby plan. Also note that there's more of a value in the baby plan because, again, you can host as many domain names and as many websites as you would like. So those are the main differences between the plans. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to order this one, the baby plan, by clicking on Order Now. As we see at the top, the first thing we need to do is we need to enter our domain name. So if you already own a domain name, you can click on this button here and add your domain name. Or if you need to register a new domain, you can leave this box checked and you can enter your domain name right here. So I'm just going to add a random domain name for the demo purpose. So I'll just add something in random right here. And of course it's available because it's a very random name. Also note that you can decide whether you want to use .com or any of these other domain extensions. So .com is the most common one, so I'm going to leave it as .com. Then I'm going to scroll down, and the next thing is we need to choose our package type and our billing cycle. So we see here it says baby because I've already chosen the baby package type. The billing cycle here, however, by default is set at 36 months, and I'd like to save a little bit more on the front end of this particular order right now, so I'm going to change this to 1 month just to keep my expenses low. So of course there's many other different cycles that you can choose from, so go ahead and choose the one that works best for you. So I'm going to choose this one, the 1 month one, and then of course coming down here you want to add a username and a security PIN. Scroll down and you want to add all of your different billing information. The next thing I want to point out here down at the bottom is we have the hosting add-ons, and by default HostGator will automatically add a few of these to your order. So you can decide whether or not you want, for example, domain privacy protection, the site lock, or the site backup. So whenever I'm creating a new website domain, I always do choose privacy protection. The reason why privacy protection is important is because without privacy protection, your order details, which include things like your phone number, your email address, and your address, will be included in the domain database so that anyone on the web will be able to find that information as it pertains to your domain name. So things like once again, your email address, your address, and your phone number that you use to place the order will be available on the web. I prefer keeping that information protected, so I always choose the privacy protection. Of course, it's up to you, so you can decide what works best for you. Here we have the site lock. I'm going to uncheck this, and I'm also going to uncheck the daily backups because I have other ways to secure my site. But of course, if you'd like to choose these, go ahead and add those on. Also, I'm going to note, I'm going to turn this off just for the moment, just to show you what the order costs will be with and without the privacy protection. So scrolling down here, we have the coupon code, and by default you'll get this standard coupon code, but if you use a different coupon code, you can get more off of your order. So the standard one is Snappy, but if you use the coupon code WP Coupon 25, you will get an extra amount off of your order that's better than the standard coupon code. So here we go. I'm just going to click on validate to validate this new coupon code, WP Coupon 25, and then we'll see that I have a lower order amount down below. So as we see here, looking at the order details, we can see that without privacy protection, we're looking at just under $13 to place this order, which includes the domain registration and the first month of web hosting. And then if you want to include the domain privacy for $9.95 a year, I'm going to click on that one, and you'll see that the order goes to about $22 or so, so still it's under $25. So once again, decide which hosting add-ons work best for you. I prefer keeping the privacy protection, so I'm going to leave that checked. And then I'm just going to click on this box here. I have read and agreed to the terms of conditions, and then I'm going to click on Create Account to place the order and create my new web hosting account. So once you click on Create Your Account, you'll get this page, which will thank you for your order and will tell you to go check your email for information related to logging into your web hosting account. So I'm going to go check out my email. And here we see on my email account, here's the email from HostGator with my account info. So I'm going to click this email to open it, and I want to point out two things. Number one, the first link that they'll share with you in the email is the billing system link. So if you want to check out any info related to your billing, you can go ahead and click on this link and use the password that they give you. And then right below that, you'll see that there's a link for your control panel with your username and a temporary password. So I'm going to copy this password here, the temporary password, and to log into your control panel, you'll use this link. So this is a really good email to keep in a safe place for future reference because you will be needing this information as well as the link to the control panel to log into your HostGator web hosting account. So I'm going to click on this link here, and then here is my username. You want to type in your username here that was found in the email, and then you want to add your password right here as well. Once you have that set up, you want to click on Login to log into the control panel of your web hosting account. So here we are on the HostGator control panel. The next step that we want to do is step number 2. We want to install WordPress. And thankfully with HostGator, there's a really easy way to install WordPress using their simple wizard script. So I am going to scroll down to where that is located. You want to scroll down to where it says Software and Services, and you want to find this icon that says Quick Install. So this is what we're going to use to install WordPress really easily in HostGator. We're going to use this Quick Install link, so I'm going to click on that. And once I click on that, you'll note that there's all these different kinds of software listed here on the left-hand sidebar. So right at the top, you'll note that it says blog software, and there's a link here for WordPress. This is what we want to install, so I'm going to click on that. And then you'll see a button here that says continue. Note that we'll be installing WordPress version 3.6, which at the time of this recording is the most recent version of WordPress. So I'm going to go ahead and click on continue, and here you'll get a panel where you can decide which domain to install WordPress to. So I'm going to add the domain name where I want to install WordPress, and then I'm going to fill out this information below, starting with the admin email. So I'm going to add my admin email right there. Next, you want to give your new website a title, so I'll just call this the name of my domain. And then also you want to add an admin username. Now note that this is an important step for website security. You want to make sure that you do not use an admin that is something like admin, support, or administration. These three names, admin, support, and administration, those are the first names that hackers will try when they're attempting to break into your WordPress website. So it's important that you use an admin username that is more unique than admin. So for this instance, I'm just going to add my name right here. You can also add your first name and last name. I'm going to leave that empty, and instead I'm just going to click on Install to install WordPress. Okay, congratulations, your installation is ready. So you can access the installation of your new website by clicking on this link here. And also note that here is the admin area login URL that you'll use in the future to access the login panel. To access your website in the future, you want to make a note of this link here. It's usually your domain name followed by wp-admin. So that's an important link to remember as well, so that going forward you can easily log into your WordPress website. Also make a note of your username and password. This is what you will also need, of course, to log into your website when you click on this link. So I'm just going to highlight this temporary password here and copy it. And then I'm going to click on this link here to log into my new WordPress website. So here we are on the login screen of our WordPress website. To log in, you want to enter your username in the username field and your password in the password field. And then you want to click on this button that says Remember Me, so that the next time you come to WordPress, your username and password will be remembered. In the event that you forget your password in the future, or perhaps even now, you want to click on this link here that says Lost Your Password, and WordPress will send you a password reset to the email that you used when you were creating your WordPress website. So for the moment, here I have my username and password. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Login button to log in to the WordPress website. Here we are on the dashboard of your WordPress website. This is the first thing that you'll see when you log into your WordPress website. And when you first install WordPress, you'll also see this Welcome to WordPress message, along with a number of links to get you started. Right now, I'm just going to dismiss this message by going up to the top on the right-hand side here and clicking on Dismiss. So here we are on the dashboard. To take a quick look at what the website looks like now before doing anything, just from the very beginning, if you go to the top and click on Visit Site, here we'll see what the WordPress looks like right now. So this is when you first install WordPress. This is what you will see. So we have quite a lot of work to do because this is where we're headed toward. We're going to be building out our website so that it looks something like this. So going back to our WordPress dashboard, the first thing we need to do is click on Dashboard here to go back to the dashboard. And here on the dashboard where it says Appearance, we need to change the theme from the 2013 theme. We see that currently when you install WordPress with WordPress 3.6.1, the 2013 theme is automatically installed. So what we need to do is we need to change this theme so that Virtue, the theme called Virtue, is installed instead. So the first step is to change the theme, and we do that by going to the left-hand side, clicking on Appearance. And then here we see we're on the themes screen. We see our current theme right now is a 2013 theme. So to install a new theme, we need to click on this tab here that says Install Themes. Then you'll note that there's a search bar right here where you can search for the theme. There's a number of other links here related to themes that you can check out. But what we want to do now is we want to search for the theme called Virtue. So I'm just going to type in Virtue right here in the search field and click on Search. Here we see that the Virtue theme pops up, and this is the one that we want. So I'm going to click on Install Now to install this theme. And then once the theme has been successfully installed, I'm going to click on Activate to activate this new theme. Okay, welcome to the Virtue theme. Now we see we have a number of additional settings all related to the Virtue theme right here. And now when we check out what the website looks like by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site, we see that the home page of our website looks a lot different than it did in the previous view. So let's take care of a few things first, starting with adding some plugins to our website, namely the WooCommerce e-commerce plugin. We'll also add a toolkit specifically for this theme, and then we'll go about adding all the different settings here to create the menu and change the logo and the slider. So going back to the dashboard, I'm going to click on Dashboard right here on the top. And then you should see this message that says this theme comes packaged with the following premium plugin, the Virtue Toolkit. So we need to begin installing this plugin by clicking on Begin Installing Plugins. So I'll click on that right here. And then we'll arrive on the Install Required Plugin screen, which when I hover over this title here, this Virtue Toolkit here, there's a link here that says Install. So I'm going to click on Install. And then once the plugin has been installed, I'm going to return to the Required Plugins installer by clicking on this link. And to complete the process, I'm going to click on the Activate link right below where it says Virtue Toolkit. Okay, so the following plugin has been successfully activated, so we're good to go on that. Now going back to our plugins screen, I'm going to click on Plugins right here on the left-hand side. And here we can see all the plugins that have been added to the site so far. Many of these come with the WordPress installation. And down below right here, we can see the Virtue Toolkit right here. So the next plugin we need to add is the WooCommerce plugin. So coming at the top right here, I'm going to click on Add New. And then I'm going to do a search for WooCommerce and click on Search Plugins. And here we see that the WooCommerce plugin shows up at the top. You can read more about it by clicking on Details, or you can click on Install Now. I'm just going to click on Install Now. Are you sure you want to install this? Yes, okay. Once the plugin has been successfully installed, you want to click on this link that says Activate Plugin. Okay, welcome to WooCommerce. You're almost ready to start selling. Now we need to click on this link here that says Install WooCommerce Pages to install the WooCommerce pages. Okay, welcome to WooCommerce 2.0. The pages have been created and we can double check them by clicking on this settings button right here. And here we see all kinds of different settings related to the WooCommerce e-commerce plugin. So when I click on pages right here, this pages tab, here we can see all the WooCommerce pages that have been created. Once all the WooCommerce pages are set up, the next step is to add a logo to the header. So to do that, I'm going to go to the left-hand side, hover over Appearance, and click on Theme Options. And here on the theme options screen, we can see all the different settings and options we'll need to configure and set up the Virtue theme. So at the top, we have the main settings options. And on this screen, we can see we can choose a site layout, either a wide site layout or a boxed site layout. I'm going to choose the box one right here. Next, you can choose how many columns you'd like in the footer, for 3 or 2 columns. I'm going to choose 4. And then underneath that, we have the beginning of the logo options. The first options related to logo is the layout. So if you want to have your logo on the left-hand side, you can choose this display. Or if you prefer the logo to be centered in the middle, you can choose this one right here. I'm going to leave it on the left aligned logo. And then underneath that, we need to choose our logo. So I'm going to upload a logo by clicking on the upload link. And then I'm going to click on Upload Files right here, and then I'm going to click on Select Files to select my file. Then once you find the folder where your logo is located, you just want to select it and then click on Open. Once the logo has been uploaded to WordPress, the next step is to add a title and an alternative text. It's always a good idea, no matter what kind of images you're adding to your site, to always include a title and an alternative text. So I'm going to add these right here. And then I'm going to click on Select to select this particular logo, and there we go. Underneath that, the next step is if you have a Retina Ready logo, you can upload that there. I don't have one, so I'll just leave that blank, but this is where you would add it. And then you can choose the logo font. If you decide not to use a logo itself and you just want to have the website title, here you can choose the style of font that you would like for your website title. Underneath that, you can also choose the styles, the font size, the font styles right here, whether you want it to be light, bold, or normal. And then if you prefer a color for your website title and the header, you can select that here. Next, we have the site tagline. This is an optional line of text below your logo. So if you'd like to add a tagline below your logo, you can add the text right in this field right here. I'm not going to add a tagline in this demo, but just want to point out that you can do so by adding the text right here. And if you do decide to use a tagline, you can also set the tagline font as well as the tagline style in these boxes right here. Underneath the tagline, we have a few more options, including the logo spacing. So if you'd like to change the default logo spacing, you can do so here. And also, if you'd like to change the default primary menu spacing, you can do so here. Finally, if you want to upload a banner for the bottom of the header, a site-wide banner, you can upload a site-wide banner by clicking on this button, Upload, and uploading your banner. When you're all ready to go on this screen, just come to the bottom here and click on Save All Changes to save your changes. Once we have the main settings set, including the logo, the next step is we need to create the menu. But in order to create a menu, we also need to have some pages to add to our menu. So let's add some pages right now. To add a new page, we want to go to the left-hand side and click on Pages. And then in WordPress, there's a few different ways to do the same thing. If you'd like to add a new page, you can either come to Pages here and then click on Add New, or at the top you can click on this link here that says Add New, or at the top here in the toolbar where it says Plus New, you can hover over Plus New and then click on Page to create a new page. So there's a number of different ways within WordPress to do the same thing. So I'm going to add a new page here by clicking on Add New. The first page I'm going to create is an About page. Most likely when you create a website, you're going to also want an About page. So here where it says Title, I'm just going to add About, since this will be the About page. And then I'm going to add some text, just some random text, but this is where you would add your text. Now note that here in this Edit Page screen, there's two tabs. There's a Visual tab and a Text tab. The difference between these two different tabs is that the Visual tab is the what you see is what you get view of your content. So WordPress gives you a really easy way to format and set up the content without knowing any code. So for example, just like you would do with an email or with any kind of word processing program, if I want to highlight this, for example, by just highlighting these words here, I can bold it by clicking on this B right here. And also note that when I hover over each of these icons, I'll have a tooltip which will tell me exactly what this particular icon will do. So the good news is that you don't have to memorize all of these different icons. If you forget what they are, you can just hover over them one by one and you can see what they do. The other thing to note, if you're not seeing two different rows right here, then you'll need to click on this link right here. When I click on this is the Hide or Show Kitchen Sink. You can see that it either collapses or fully displays all of the different formatting options that you have to format your content. To see the behind the scenes code that WordPress is generating to create the formatting, you can click on this link here, this tab that says text, and you can see the different HTML elements and tags that are added by WordPress to create the formatting. I prefer to stay in the visual view. This is where I can just use all of these different icons. So I'll just stay right here in the visual view. And the next step is we want to add an image to this particular text. So I'm going to place the cursor where I want this image to be displayed. So I'll just put it to the left of the L right here. And then I'm going to click on Add Media to add some media. Next, I'll click on Upload File to upload a new file and then select Files. And here I'm going to choose the file that I like and click on Open. And once the image has been added to the website, next we need to add a title and an alternative text. Once you have your title and alternative text, the next step is the attachment display settings, and here you can choose whether you want alignment of this image, left, center, right, or none. I'm going to choose left alignment. If you'd like to link this image to something, you can choose that here, whether you want to link to a media file, an attachment page, a custom URL, or none. So I prefer to not link this image to anything, so I'll just click on none. And finally, the last step is the size that we want to display next to the text. So the options we have are a thumbnail size or a full size, and I'll leave it at full size, and then I'm going to click on Insert into Page to insert this image into the page. Okay, so the image has been inserted. The next step is looking on the right-hand side, we can choose our page attributes. If you'd like to create a parent page, you can select from this list here. I'm not going to include a parent. This page will actually be the parent page. As far as template goes, we have a number of options. When I click on this link right here, we have a drop-down box, and by default you'll have the default template, which includes a sidebar, but if you'd like to include another type of template, you can choose that here. And for this particular page, the About page, I'd like to have a full width template with no sidebar, so I'll just click on full width. Finally, scrolling down, if you'd like to add a subtitle below the page title, you can add that right here. And then if you'd like to add any slider images to this particular page, you can do that by clicking on Add Images right here. For this particular page, the About page, I'm not going to add any of that. I'm just going to keep it really simple with an image and some text. When you're all ready to go, we can click on Publish or Update right here, this blue button, to update or publish the page. Once the page has been published, we can view the page by clicking on View Page. And here we can see what the About page will look like with our image and our text. So the next page that I want to add is a contact page. So we'll add a contact page by once again going up to the top toolbar, hovering over plus new and clicking on page. And as we did in the previous example, for this particular page, I'm going to add a title here by just putting in contact, since this will be the contact page. Next, here in the content box, now we can add our contact info. So the really cool thing with this theme is that this theme, the Virtue theme, gives us some icons that we can add along with our contact info. So I'm going to add an icon by clicking on this smiley face right here, by clicking on that. And you can see that here we can choose our icon. So when I click on this, there's all these different icons that you can choose. The one that I want right now is the envelope icon, so I'll just click on envelope. You can also choose the icon size, the color, and whether you want to float this to the left or to the right or not at all. So I'll just leave this as none right there, and then I'll click on Insert to insert this icon, and you can see here is the shortcode that has been inserted. After this, I'm just going to add my address, so I'll just add it right there. Note that I've bolded this, so I'll just highlight this, and you can see you can click on the B to either bold it or to not bold this info. Next, the next line, after I've added my address with the icon, I want to add a divider. So I'm going to click on this second icon here where it says Insert Divider. I'm going to click on that. And here I'm going to choose a divider, and the one that I want is clear. So I'm choosing the clear divider, and I'm going to click on Insert. This will just help to display the icons along with the contact info a little bit better. And finally, now I'm going to add my phone number. Once again, I'm going to add an icon with the phone number, so I'm just going to leave the cursor there and then click on this smiley face icon one more time. And this time, the icon that I'm going to choose is a phone. So the phone icon is located all the way down the list in this drop-down list. So here it is right here, icon phone. So I'm just going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on Insert to insert the shortcode for the phone. And then I'm going to add my phone number right here. Once again, I'm going to highlight this phone with the colon, and then I'm going to click on the B to bold this word right here. As we did before, I'm going to add another divider here. So I'm going to click on the divider, insert divider icon, and the divider I'm going to choose is the clear divider right there, and then I'm going to click on Insert. Finally, when you're done adding the icons and the contact info, if you'd like to add any extra info, you can add that right here. So I'll just add some demo text right there. On the right-hand side, we see the page attributes, and here's where we can set the template. So I'm going to click on Default Template, and this time I'm going to choose the Contact template. So I just clicked on that. So since this is the contact page, I'm going to use the Contact template. And once I've chosen the Contact template, then I'm going to click on Save Draft to save my draft. Once you click on Save Draft, then you'll note that all the different contact page options will pop up down below. And here you can set the different contact page options. So as it notes, yes, we are using the contact form, so that should say yes. If you'd like to give the contact form a title, you can give it a title right here. So I'll just add a short title. Please contact us via the form below. If you'd like to use a map and any address, you can do so by clicking on yes and adding your location. I'm not going to add a map though, I'm just going to leave it as it is with just the form. So once you have all of that ready to go ahead and click on Publish to publish the contact page. Once a contact page has been created, the next page we're going to create is a page with a sidebar. So to create the new page, once again, you can either go up to the top, hover over plus new and click on page, or you can simply click on add new next to where it says edit page, or finally on the left-hand side, you can hover over pages and click on add new. So I am going to click on add new right here. The first thing we want to do on our add new page, as we did in the previous examples, is we're going to give our new page a title. So I'm going to give my page a title here. It's going to say learn how to stand up paddle surf. Next, here in the content box, I'm just going to add some demo content right there. And as we did previously, I'm going to add an image to this content. So I'm going to place the cursor right to the left of the L in this word, and I'm going to click on add media to add some media. Next, I'm going to click on Upload Files and then select Files. Then I'm going to find the image that I want, this one right here, and I'm going to click on Open. And as we did before, we need to give our new image a title and an alternative text. Once we have the title and the alternative text added, once again, we can choose the alignment. I'm going to keep it at left alignment right there. We can link this image to something, but as we did previously, I'm not going to link this image to anything, so I'll click on none. And then finally, we can choose the size that we'd like to add within our content. So here we see we have a thumbnail size, a medium size, and a full width size. So I am going to choose the medium size right there, and then I'm going to click on Insert into Page. Once we have the image and the content added, then on the right-hand side, you can choose the template. I'm going to keep it as the default template, which comes with a sidebar. Then scrolling down, we have a page title and a subtitle that we can add. So if you'd like to include a subtitle below the page title, you can do so by adding a subtitle right here. So I'll just add a short subtitle right there. And then if you'd like to add a page slider, you can do so, but I'm not going to add that right on this particular page. We'll add that on another page. So, okay, everything is good to go. Then I'm going to click on Publish to publish this page. The last page that I want to add right now is the blog archive page. So to do that, I'm going to click on Add New one more time. And here on the Add New page screen, I'm going to add blog. Just put the word blog right here as the title. And then here on the right-hand side for the default template, I'm going to choose blog. Once you have those two things set, go ahead and click on Publish to publish the blog archive page. Once the various pages have been created, the next step is to add them to the menu in the header section. So to create a menu, we need to go to the left-hand side, hover over Appearance, and click on Menus. And here on the Edit Menu screen, we need to create our new menu. So to create a new menu, I'm just going to add the name right here, Menu, and then I'm going to click on this button that says Create Menu. Once the menu has been created, now we need to add some menus to this particular menu. So the ones that I'm going to add the blog. I'm going to learn how to stand up paddle surf, the contact page, the about page, and because this is a e-commerce website as well, I'm going to add the shop page also. Once you've checked the pages that you'd like to include in the menu, go ahead and click on Add to Menu to add these to the menu. Once the menu items have been added underneath menu structure, the next step is to drag them so that they display in the order that you'd like to have them displayed in the menu. So for example, I want the About page to be at the top, so just drag that to the top. And then I want the Contact page to be at the bottom, and let's see, I'll move the Shop page right after About. Then we have the blog, and then we have Learn How to Stand Up Paddle Surf. So this is awfully long for a title for a menu item. So I'm going to click on this button right here where it says Page, and here I can relabel the navigation label right here by simply calling it Learn. Just one word right there. That's a lot shorter, a lot better for a menu navigation item. So it says Learn, and it will go to the page that is the Learn How to Stand Up Paddle Surf page. Okay, so once we have that set up, I'm going to click on Save Menu to save my menu. And the next step is we need to manage the locations. So I'm going to click on Manage Locations right here. And note that at the top it says your theme supports 5 menus. So there's 5 different menus that we can configure here. Primary navigation menu, a secondary navigation menu, a mobile navigation, top bar navigation, and a footer navigation. So in this demo, I'm going to be using a primary navigation menu bar. So right here where it says primary navigation, I'm going to select my menu, the menu I just created. Next, we have secondary navigation. If you'd like to add a secondary navigation bar, you can do so by setting using your location right here. I'm not going to be using a secondary navigation in this demo, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. Next, we have the mobile navigation menu. This is the menu that you'll see on a smartphone or a tablet, so we need to set that right here. I'll just use the same menu that I am using for the primary navigation. Finally, we have two more to go, the top bar navigation and the footer navigation. The top bar will create in just a moment, so I'll leave that as it is for the moment. We'll come back to this. And the footer navigation, I'll use the same menu once again that I'm using for the primary navigation and the mobile navigation. That way I have the same menu bar in a variety of different places, so it's easy for readers to see the menu in a variety of different places on the page. Once you have all the locations set up for your menu, you can go ahead and click on Save Changes to save the changes. Once menu locations have been updated, I'm going to click on Edit Menus to create another menu. This time I'm going to create the top menu. So I'm just going to click on this link here, Create a New Menu. And this time I'll call the menu Top Menu, and then I'm going to click on Create Menu. And once again, we need to add some menu items to the top menu. So for this particular menu, I'm going to be adding two different pages. We can see them once again here on the left-hand side. You have the most recent pages as well as View All pages, so I'll click on View All. So on the top menu, I'm going to include the cart page and the checkout page, just those two. If you'd like to add some more, go ahead and click those right here and then click on Add to Menu. Once the two items have been added to the top menu, I'm going to click on Save Menu to save the menu. And now, once the menu has been updated, we can go back to Manage Locations to set this menu. So I'm going to click on Manage Locations. And then here where it says Top Bar Navigation, I'm going to click on Top Menu, and then I'm going to click on Save Changes. Okay, once the menu has been updated, now let's take a look at what the website looks like. So I'm going to go up to the top and click on Visit Site. And here we see we have our top menu navigation, we have our logo, and we have our various pages. So the next thing that I want to add to get the home page looking a little bit better is I want to add the full width slider right here underneath the header section. So what we're going toward is I want to add this header here with the calls to action and the rotating slider. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my dashboard by clicking on Dashboard. On the dashboard, I'm going to go to Appearance, hover over Appearance, and then click on Theme Options. And here on the Virtue Theme Options screen, I'm going to click on the third box down where it says Slider Settings. So I'm going to click on Slider Settings, and here we can set the slider on the home page. Here on the Slider Settings screen, the first thing we need to do is we need to choose a home image slider type. So I'm going to click on this box here, and we have a couple different options that we can choose. And the one that I'm going to be choosing is the Flex Slider. So I'm just going to click on Flex Slider to select that particular one. Next, underneath of that, we have our slider images, and this is where we actually add the images that will be displayed in the slider on the home page. So when I click on this caret right here on the right hand side, we'll get a drop down box, and this is where we can upload the image to the slider. If you'd like to include a title as well, you can do so right here. I'm going to leave my title empty, blank, because I have text already in the image. So I'm going to click on Upload to upload my slider, and then I'm going to click on Upload Files and select Files. Then I'm going to select the image that I want, which is this one right here, and I'll click on Open. And as we did with the previous images, we need to add a title and an alternative text. Once we have the title and the alternative text added, we can go ahead and click on Select to select this image. So here we see the image that I've added to the slider. Also note that we can see that there's text embedded within the image, which includes the calls to action. So if you prefer keeping a title with the calls to action, you can add those words right here in the title field. Again, because I already have words embedded on the image itself, I'm not going to add a title, but that is an option if you'd like to do that. Next, we have the link URL. So I want this image to be that anyone who clicks on the image will go to my shop page. So I'm going to add the shop page URL in the link URL field right here. Finally, you can add a description if you like. This is optional. And when you're all ready, go ahead and click on the top link here to close this box. Next, I want to add one more slide to the slider. So I'm going to click on this Add New Slide box. Then I'm going to click on the caret right here to open this. And then we're going to do the same process one more time where I'm going to click on Upload to upload a new image, and then click on Upload Files and select Files. And this time I'll choose this particular image and click on Open. And as we did in the previous step, once the image has been uploaded, we need to add a title and an alternative text. So I'll just add that right here. And once we have the title and the alternative text added, then we can click on Select to select this image. Just as in the previous example, this image also includes text within the image, so I'm not going to add a title, but if you'd like to do so, please do so right here. Then I'm going to link this particular image to the Learn page, the Learn to Stand Up Paddle Surf page. So I'm going to add the link right here. And then finally, once again, if you'd like to add a description, you can do that by adding your description right here. So I'm just going to use 2 different images for this rotating slider. If you'd like to add more images, you can continue to click Add New Slide right here and keep doing the same process. So I'm just going to come up to the top here and click on Save All Changes to save the changes. And once the changes have been saved, we can scroll down and there's a few more options that you can set. So I'm going to leave all the defaults that come with the Virtue WordPress theme. But here, if you'd like to change the slider maximum height or maximum width, if you'd like to autoplay this or not, and if you want to change any of these other features related to the slider pause time, transition time, the slider transition time, if you'd like to show captions or not, you can do so in these sections right here. Also, if you'd like to include a video on the home page, you can embed the video code right here. So I'm not going to include a video on this particular home page. I'm just going to keep it as the 2 different sliders right here using the flex slider. Once again, I'm just going to click on Save All Changes to make sure all my changes are set. And now, once the changes have been set, let's take a look at the home page. So I'm going to go up to the top and click on Visit Site. And here we are on the home page with our new image slider. So the next step on the home page is we need to build out the sections below the slider right here, including the featured projects section, the blog post section, a few different menu icons, and then the footer section. So let's take care of setting up which sections will be displayed on the home page. To do that, I'm going to go up to the top, click on Dashboard. Then on the dashboard, I'm going to go to Appearance, hover over Appearance, and click on Theme Options. In the previous step, we set up the slider settings. Now we need to set up the home layout settings. So here on the left-hand sidebar, I'm going to click on Home Layout. And here at the top, we have our Homepage Layout Manager. This will determine which sections are displayed on the home page. So right now we see that by default we have enabled the page title and the page content, but I actually do not want these particular sections, so I'm just going to drag this one over to disable it, and I'm going to drag page content over to disable that as well. The sections that I want to enable include the portfolio carousel, so I will enable that by dragging it over. I also want the latest blog post to be displayed underneath the portfolio carousel, and finally I want the icon menu to be displayed as well. So here you can choose which sections you want to have displayed on the home page. For the demo, this is how I'm going to set it up. Next, we can determine what we want the home blog title to be. So here I'll just put latest from the blog, and I'm going to use capital letters. If you prefer lowercase, of course, you can use lowercase letters. Once you've added your homepage blog title, the next step is you can choose how many blog posts are displayed on your homepage. I'm just going to keep it at 2, but if you'd like to change this, you can just drag this bar over to the right so that the number will increase. I'm going to leave it at 2. Next, you can choose which posts are displayed on the homepage. I'm going to choose all categories, so I'll just leave it as a default with all. And then here under Home Portfolio Settings, you can create a title for your homepage portfolio section. So for the demo, I'm just going to call the title Featured. You can call this Featured Projects, Featured Photos, whatever content you want to feature here, you can add a title. Here we have next portfolio carousel category type. If you'd like to limit the category type for the portfolio on the homepage, you can do so by clicking on this and choosing the category. I'm going to keep it as all. Next, we have display the portfolio types under the title. I'm not going to do that. I'll just leave that unchecked. And then here we have the home icon menu. So this refers to the different blocks of menu items that will be displayed underneath the blog post. So I'm going to create 4 different icon menu blocks. So here, icon number 1, you just want to click on this drop down arrow right here. So I'll click on that. Here you can include an icon, you can add a title, and then you can add a URL. So I'm going to just choose the preset icons that come built in with the Virtue theme. So I'm just going to click on this one right here. And I think for this particular one, I'll just call this the About page. So for the About page, I'll use this particular icon. You can choose, of course, any icon that you'd like, and there's plenty of them to choose from. So just for the purpose of this demo, I'll just use this icon user, and I'll call this About. Then for the link URL, I'm just going to add the About page right here. So I happen to know the URL for the About page is simply the domain name followed by /about, so I'll just leave it like that. Now I need to add 3 more of these icons, so I'm going to click on Add New Icon to add another icon. And once again, here we click on the caret to open up the box, and I'm going to choose a preset icon. I'm going to choose the shopping cart because I want this to be the shop page. Once you have the icon selected, then you can add a title as well as a link URL as we did in the previous step. So I'm just going to add shop since this will be the shop page, and then I'm going to add my link URL. So I'll just grab this one and paste it in there. And I know the link URL is shop, so I'll just call this shop right there. So now I have the link for the second menu icon. Next, I'll do this 2 more times, add a new icon. This one is going to be the portfolio, so I just opened it up. I'm going to call it portfolio. Then I'm going to grab the icon. This time I think I'll use the camera icon, the icon-camera, since this will be the portfolio page. And as we did before, I'm just going to copy the link. I'm going to add the link here and of course rename it because this is the portfolio page. And finally, one last time, I'm going to click on Add New Icon. This one will be the contact page. I'm going to open it up. I will call it Contact. Then I'll choose the preset icon, which this time will be a phone. So I just need to scroll down here and look for the phone icon, which is all the way at the bottom. Then I'm going to choose the icon-phone, and finally I'm going to add the link URL one more time as well. So this is the contact page, so I know that the URL is just, again, the domain name followed by /contact. Finally, when all the icons have been added, then I'm going to click on Save All Changes to save my changes. So before taking a look at what the home page looks like now, let's first create the portfolio items and the portfolio page. So we've actually already created the portfolio page, so what we need to do is we need to actually create the portfolio items for the portfolio page. So to add the portfolio items, on the left-hand side here, there's a link that says portfolio, so I'm going to click on that. And here we see we don't have any items added to our portfolio yet. So let's create the first one by clicking on Add New. Then we want to give our new portfolio item a title. I'm going to be creating a landscape portfolio item with a landscape full width slider. So just for descriptive purposes, I'll call this landscape slider. Of course, whatever this item is called, you want to add your title right here. Next, I'm going to add some content. This is just some demo content right here. I'll just add some text for the description. Then I'm going to scroll down. If you'd like to add a portfolio type, you can do so by clicking on Add New Type and then just adding whatever this particular type is called for your particular item. Then you want to click on Add New Type. Next, scrolling down, we want to add a featured image. So I'm going to set the featured image by clicking on Set Featured Image. Then I'm going to click on Upload Files and select Files. Then I want to choose the file, so I'm just going to choose this file right here and click on Open. And as we did with the previous images, we want to give this image a title and an alternative text. Once you have a title and alternative text, you can click on Set Featured Image. Once the featured image is set, the next step is over here in Portfolio Post options, we can choose the layout. And because this is a landscape full width slider, I want to place this above the text. So I'm just going to click for this particular portfolio item. I'm going to click on Above, and then here we have some project options. So when I click on this, you can see we have an image, image slider, or a video. So for this particular landscape slider, I want to use the image slider project option. Next, we can choose the maximum image slider height. So we see here that the default is 450, so we can just input the number. So I'll just put in 450 right here. Next, we have the maximum image slider width. Once again, here we see the default is 670 or 1170 pixels wide for when you choose the above settings. So I'll just leave it as 1170 right here. And then we can add some different project elements, some different meta descriptions. So we have, for example, the title. So I'll just call this project type. As we see on the right-hand side, there's all these examples of possible values that you can include in these particular fields right here. So for the value title, I'll just call it project type. Next, we have value description. I'll just call this photography since this is a photo. Skills needed, I'll add skills needed right here. Value description, I'll add Photoshop and Illustrator. Note that I'm just copying all the different items that are listed as examples here on the right-hand side. Of course, for your own project item, feel free to, of course, customize all of these different titles, descriptions, and values in these fields right here. Once you've added in all of your values, the next option is to decide whether or not you want to display a similar portfolio item carousel underneath this particular portfolio item. It's always a great idea, I think, to include related items underneath your main content because that helps people to explore other areas within your website. So I'm going to choose yes to display recent projects. And for the carousel title, I'll just call it recent projects. Finally, at the very bottom, we need to add the additional portfolio slider images. So we've already added our featured image right here. The next step and final step is we need to add the additional images to be displayed within the slider. So I'm going to click on Add Images and then Upload Files and select Files. And this time I'm going to choose this image right here and click on Open. Again, I'm going to give it a title and alternative text. And once the title and alternative text have been added, I'm going to click on Add to Gallery. There's one more image to be displayed, so I'm going to click on Add Images to add my next image, and this time I'm going to add the same image as the featured image right here. So this way I'll have two images in my slider. So once this is selected, I'm going to click on Add to Gallery to add this to my gallery. Once the images have been added to the portfolio slider right here, I'm going to go to the top and click on Publish to publish this portfolio item. To view the portfolio item, we can just click on View Post to view the post. And here we can see our first portfolio item. So as we see, now we have these portfolio previous links here to look at the previous portfolio item and the next portfolio item. We can also click on this particular image to go to the portfolio page. And then here we have our actual landscape slider portfolio item. So when we click on this, it just rotates to the two different images in our slider. Down below, we have our description, our different data about this particular portfolio item, and then we have our recent projects, which will begin to display one by one across this row here. So let's add a few more portfolio items to our portfolio by going up to the top, clicking on Plus New, and clicking on Portfolio Item. So the next portfolio item I want to add is simply an image with the description on the right-hand side of the image. So for this one, once again, I'm going to give it a title. Then I'm going to add my description in this content box right here. Then on the right-hand side, I'll also choose this as photos. I'm going to scroll down and set the featured image by clicking on Set Featured Image. Then I'll click on Upload Files and select Files. I'm going to select my image and click on Open. And once again, once we have the image, I'm going to add a title and an alternative text. Then, once I have the title and alternative text, I'm going to click on Set Featured Image to set the image. Once a featured image has been set, the next step is to check out the portfolio post options, and this time I'm going to place the layout will be beside. So I want the image to show up beside the actual description and the text. So I'm going to click on beside, and then I'm just going to scroll down. This time for project options, I'll leave it as image. I'm going to keep the default as 450. You can add that in right here. So 450 for the default slider height. The default for the width is 670, so I'll just add that width in there. And then you can continue to add all the different values here for the data section underneath the description. Once you've added all the different values in these fields right here, then I'm just going to scroll to the bottom. I'm also going to include a similar portfolio item carousel on this item as well. So I'm just going to click on Yes. The carousel title I'll add will be the same as in the previous example, Recent Projects. There are no image sliders for this particular portfolio item, so I'm not going to touch this right here. And then I'm just going to come up to the top and click on Publish to publish this portfolio item. Once the item has been published, we can check it out by clicking on View Post. And now we see our new portfolio item. Now note that this has a different layout than the previous example. Now the image is on the left-hand side, and we have our text right here, our different item elements and attributes right here. And then we can see again the recent projects starting to slowly fill out here in this row right here. And when I hover over each one of them, note that we can also see the title of the project item. So let's add a few more portfolio items to our portfolio. The next one that I want to add is an image on the side, but I want this to be a slider instead of a static image. So to add the next portfolio item, again, I'm going to go up to the top, hover over plus new, and click on portfolio item. Then once again here on the new portfolio item screen, I'm going to give it a title, as well as some content description right here. And then I'm going to add this to the portfolio type photos. Scroll down. I'm going to add a featured image by clicking Set Featured Image. Then I will click on Upload Files and select Files. Then I'll choose my file and click on Open. Once again, I'm going to add a title and an alternative text. And when I have the title and alternative text, I'm going to click on Set Featured Image to set the image. Once the image is set, on the left-hand side where it says Portfolio Post Options, once again, I'm going to click on Beside because I want this image to show up on the left-hand side of the description. And then I'm going to click on Project Options, Image. This time as well, I'm going to give it an image slider. So I'm going to click on Image Slider. The default, once again, is 450 pixels wide. Actually, I should say 450 pixels tall, the height. And the width is 670 pixels wide. So I'll leave it like that. Also, I'm going to add in all the values right here. Once we have all the values added to these fields, then I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to add a portfolio item carousel below this particular portfolio item. So I'm going to click on Yes. The title, as we did in the previous examples, is going to be the same thing, Recent Projects. And here where it says Portfolio Slider Images, I'm going to click on Add Images and select my first image right here and click on Add to Gallery. Then I'm going to add one more image to the gallery by clicking on Add Images, Upload Files, Select Files, and this time I'll choose the second image for this slider and click on Open. Then I'm going to add the title and the alternative text. And finally, when we have the title and alternative text, I'm going to click on Add to Gallery. Okay, once we have the images added, then I'm just going to come up to the top and click on Publish to publish this new portfolio item. Once a portfolio item has been published, I'm going to click on View Post to view the item. And here I have my new portfolio item with the image slider to the left of the description. So when I click on this, we can see that now the images rotate from one to the next. And then underneath here, we have our recent projects, and these are filling out really well in this bottom row right here. So this is how you add portfolio items to your WordPress website. I want to add one more. I want to add a video to show you how to add a video to the portfolio item. So I'm going to go up to the top, hover over plus new one last time, click on portfolio item. This one is going to be a video, so I'll just call it video. Of course, add any title you'd like. Then I'm going to add some content here in this box. Next, I'm going to add a portfolio type, and this time because it's a video instead of a photo, I'm just going to click on Add New Type, add video right here, and click on Add New Type, this button, to create the new portfolio type. Then I'm going to scroll down and set the featured image by clicking on the Set Featured Image link. And then I'm going to click on Upload Files and Select Files. Then I'm going to choose my image, the video.png file, and click on Open. Then, as we did previously, I'm going to give this a title and an alternative text. Then I'm going to click on Set Featured Image to set the featured image. Here where it says Portfolio Post Options, I'm going to place this video above, so I'm just going to click on above. You can choose whichever layout here that you'd like. And then for Project Options, I'm going to choose video this time. I'm also going to leave the defaults, so I'll just leave it as it is. I'll leave these two blank. Next, we can set the maximum height and the maximum width of this particular video, and I'm not going to set that. I'll just let the defaults take over right here. And then finally, we can fill out all the values in this area right here. Once you've added all the different values here in these fields, we can scroll down and we need to add the embed code of our video. So to grab the embed code, I'm just going to go to YouTube. I'm going to grab the embed code for this video by just scrolling down, clicking on the share button right here, and then I'm going to click on embed. Here I'm just going to highlight this entire embed code, and then I'm going to copy it, and then going back to my WordPress website where it says video project, I'm going to paste in this code right here. Finally, at the bottom where it says similar portfolio item carousel, I do want to display this, so I'm going to click on yes. When you have everything ready to go, we can come up to the top here and we can click on Publish to publish this portfolio item. Once a portfolio item has been published, we can click on View Post to view the portfolio item. And here we have the portfolio item with our video. So note that there's a black bar at the top of the video and a black bar at the bottom. I actually want to remove that. So let's go edit the portfolio item really quickly. I'm going to click on Edit Portfolio Item. And here we can see that I included both the width and the height, which is different from the default. So I'm just going to remove this altogether. I'm just going to delete that. And then I'm going to go back up to the top and click on Update to update this item. And now when we check out the item by clicking on View Portfolio Item, now we see that the black bar at the top and the black bar at the bottom has been removed. So that looks a lot better. So that's how you can remove the black bar of your video if you are having an extra black bar inside of your video. Okay, so this is what the portfolio item looks like with a video. We have our video at the top, and then we have our description, our project details, and then underneath we can see that now there's a full row of recent projects. So we have one more thing to do to set the portfolio up, and that is to create a portfolio page. So to create a portfolio page, we want to go up to the dashboard. So I'm going to click on Dashboard. And here on the dashboard, we want to create a new page. So I'm going to click on Pages, and then I'm going to click on Add New. And the page we want to create is a portfolio page. So I'm just going to add that here in the title. And then we can leave this section blank, but here on the right-hand side where it says Page Attributes, we can select a different template. So when I click on this default template here, I get this drop-down box, and the one that we want is the portfolio grid. So I'm just going to click on Portfolio Grid here for the template, and then I'm just going to click on Publish to publish this page. Once the portfolio page has been created, now we need to add it to our main menu. So to add it to the menu, I'm going to go to the left-hand side, hover over Appearance, and click on Menus. So there's two menus we've created so far, the top menu and the primary navigation menu. So the one that we want is simply the primary menu right here. So you want to make sure that that is selected, and then click on this Select button right here, so that down below we're looking at the main menu. Next, we need to add the portfolio to our item structure right here. So I'm just going to click on the portfolio page right here. It looks like I misspelled it, so I'll need to respell that. And I'm just going to click on it and then click on the Add to Menu button. And once the portfolio has been added to the menu structure, you can just drag it wherever you want it to be displayed in this order right here. So I'm going to drag it up so that it's right after the shop page. Once you have the portfolio page where you'd like it to be displayed, you can click on Save Menu to save the menu. So to change the spelling, I'm just going to go back to Pages really quick, click on All Pages. Then I'm going to go find my portfolio page and click on Quick Edit, and I'm just going to spell this so that it's spelled correctly. Portfolio, there we go. The title as well as a slug, and then I'm going to click on Update. Okay, so once we have the portfolio renamed, then I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to visit the site by clicking on Visit Site. And here now on the home page, we have our portfolio page listed here in the primary menu navigation area right here. We also see on the home page that we have our slider, we have our featured section, our blog section needs to be filled out, and we have our menu icons. So the next thing is, let's fill out this blog section by adding some blog post. To create a new blog post, you want to come up to the top, hover over plus new and click on post, or you can go to the dashboard by clicking on dashboard. And here on the dashboard on the left hand side there's a link that says post, so you can either click on post and then click on add new, and here we can add the title of our new post. So I'm just going to pop in a title right here. We're going to be creating an image carousel post. The image carousel post will look something like this. So here is a demo of what we are working towards. So we're going to be creating this in just a moment. I just want to show you what it looks like. We have the blog archive page here with a image carousel post right here. So you can see here on the blog archive page, when I click on this arrow, it rotates through a series of different images. That's different, of course, than the image up here, which is just a static image. So right now we're going to create a blog post adding this image carousel post right here. So once we have added the title, the next step is we need to add some content right here. So I'm going to paste in some content right here. Next, we can add our blog post to a category. I'll just add a category called blog. So I'm going to click on add new category, and I'll call this blog. And then I'm going to click on the button one more time that says add new category to create the category. Next, scrolling down, if you'd like to add some tags, you can add some tags right here. I'll just call this yoga since this is a post about yoga. And then we want to create a featured image. So I'm going to click on this link that says set featured image to set the featured image. This is a blog post, so I'm going to choose a image that is already in my media library here. So I'm just going to click on this image right here and then click on set featured image. Next, looking at the post options over here, we can check out the head content. This is the content that appears just above the actual blog post. So you have a few different options. You can include nothing, or you can include an image slider, a video, or an image. So for this particular post, I want to include an image above the blog post. So I'm going to click on image. The defaults will automatically divert to or revert to the defaults if you leave these blanks. So I'll just leave these blanks, but we see here the default is 400 pixels high and 770 pixels wide. Those are the defaults. So I'm going to leave those as they are, and then I'm going to scroll down. Post summary, we can check out these options right here. Now this is where we want to set the portrait image slider. This will enable us to create that image carousel on the blog archive page. So I'm going to click on portrait image slider, and then here it says display sidebar. Yes, I do want to display the sidebar. If you don't want to do that, you can click on no. I will click on yes. I want the primary sidebar, so I'll leave that as it is. Do I want to display an author info box? Yes. So I'm going to click on yes. This is optional, of course. Choose what you would like. And then it says, do you want to display a carousel with similar or recent posts? I always think that's a good idea. Again, it gives visitors a way to explore other areas of your website and stay on your site longer. So I'm going to say yes, display recent post. And then you can create a title. And then scrolling down, I'm going to click on add images and the post slider images to add the images to my image carousel. So I'm going to click on add images, and I'm going to choose this image and this image. So these two images are checked, and then I'm going to click on add to gallery to add these to my gallery. So once those images have been selected, we can come up to the top and click on publish to publish our new blog post. Once a blog post has been published, we can check it out by clicking on View Post. And here we see our single blog post page with the image at the top above the post itself. And we can scroll down, and there's our post, and we have our author info right here, which we can fill out in just a few moments. We also see that all of the different related posts or more recent posts will begin to start showing up in this row right here. Next, we can check out our blog archive page by clicking on blog. And here we have our blog archive page. Now it looks like there's something going on with the image carousel. It's not displaying. This should have our image carousel right here. And of course this happens when I'm creating a video. So I guess it's actually a good thing because you may encounter this as well. So let's take a look at how we can fix this. So when I click on this particular blog post right here, and then I click on Edit Post at the top to edit this post. And here we see that our settings are set correctly. We have the portrait image slider selected right here. And when I scroll down, we have the two images. Now it's possible that these two images are not displaying because we did not actually upload them. We took them from the media library. So let's take a look at these particular images. I'm going to go up to the top, click on media, and here we see the two images right here, these two different yoga images. So we see that they are uploaded to my yoga page. So one thing that we can do, I'm glad actually that this happened because you may have this issue. So a little bit of troubleshooting on the side here. We're going to be adding a plugin called File Unattached. So I'm going to go to the left-hand side, click on Plugins. Then I'm going to come to the top and click on Add New. And the plugin that we need to add is called File Unattached. And then I'm going to click on Search Plugins. And here's the plugin listed 4 rows down. So it's this one right here. So it's called File Unattach. I'm going to click on Install Now to install this. Are you sure you want to install it? Yes, okay. And once the plugin has been successfully installed, we can click on Activate to activate the plugin. Once the File Unattach plugin has been installed and activated, now when we go back to our media by clicking on the media library, now we see here are our two images. They've already been attached. As we can see, they're already attached to the yoga page here. I have another page, and this is actually the yoga portfolio item page. So we need to also attach this to the blog post. So here now with this plugin, we have these two additional features that say attach and detach. So this is a way that you can attach and detach your images from whatever post page or wherever else they may be located. So I'm going to attach it. So this one, I'm going to click on attach. I want to attach it to a post, and a post is called Outdoor Yoga. That's the blog post title. So I'm just going to add that here and click on search. And we can see here that it's not currently attached even though we did add it to the post. So sometimes when an image is already added to something else, it doesn't always always catch in WordPress. So this is a good double check and a good troubleshooting measure to take to attach it to multiple things. So I'm just going to click on this checkbox to attach it and then click on save. And now we see that now this image is attached to multiple pages or posts. So that's great. So now we need to do the same thing with this other yoga photo. So I'm going to click on attach. I'm also going to do the post type of post because it's a blog post. And once again, I'm going to look for the blog post called Outdoor Yoga and click on search. And here it is, and we can see it's not attached, so we need to click on this box to attach it and click on save. Okay, so now that these two images are now attached to multiple places, and we can see here it now says attached to multiple right here, now let's check out the blog archive page by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site. Next, here in the menu, I'm going to click on Blog to go to the blog archive page. And now we can see here, finally, is the image carousel post. So it may be possible that if you upload this image directly to the blog post, you should not have to go through that extra troubleshooting measure. But if you are adding an image directly from within your media library, you may encounter that issue. So this is how you can solve it. Okay, great. So let's add a couple more blog posts so I can show you other kinds of formats that can be displayed here in the blog archive page. So the next one that we're going to add is a blog post with simply a static image. This one is a carousel. The next one we're going to add is simply a static image. So to add a new blog post, I'm going to go up to the top, hover over plus new and click on post. And once again, the first thing that we need to do is we need to give our new blog post a title. So I'm going to add my title in here, 5 quick workouts so you can do anywhere, and then we need to add some content here in this box. So I'll just paste some content in here. Next, we can come over to the right-hand side and under categories, I'm going to add this to the blog. So I'll just click on this checkbox here, and then I'm going to give this a tag of workouts. So I'm just going to add the word in and click on the word add, and there we have the tag. Next, I'm going to add a featured image, so I'm going to click on set featured image. And this time I'm going to upload an image, so I'm going to click on Upload Files and select Files. Then I'm going to find the image right here and I'm going to highlight it and click on Choose. And once the image has been added, I'm going to add a title and an alternative text. And once I have the title and alternative text, I'm going to click on Set Featured Image. Great, so once the image has been set, then on the left-hand side under Post Options, once again, I'm going to click on None because I want to open up the options for the header content, the head content, and once again, I'm going to choose an image, so I'll just click on Image. I'll leave the defaults as they are, and then this time in the post summary, when I click on this, instead of the portrait image slider, I'm simply going to click on Portrait Image, a static portrait image. All the rest I want to also have pretty much all the defaults except for this one, the author info. I do want to display that, so I'll click on yes. And post carousel, I also want to display the recent post, so I'll click on yes for that. And here I'll just click on more post, add my carousel title. And then I'm going to scroll down, and I don't need to add any image sliders this time, so I'll leave that as it is, and I'll come up to the top and click on Publish to publish this new blog post. Once the blog post has been published, I'm going to click on View Post to view the post. And here we can see my new blog post, once again with the image at the top on top of the blog itself, the author content, and we can see slowly my different recent posts are starting to be displayed in this row here. So let's take a look at the blog archive page by clicking on Blog. And here we can see now this image shows up, a static image right next to the blog title and the excerpt. And the other one right here is this image carousel. So there's a couple other different styles that I want to show you how to add here. The next one is the landscape carousel. So we're going to create one that looks something like this. So going over to our completed site over here, the one that's already completed, the next one I want to show you how to do is how to create a image slider post that looks like this, and this is on the blog archive page. So to do that, we're going to go back to our WordPress website here. At the top, once again, I'm going to hover over plus new and click on Post. Next, I'm going to give this new blog post a title, so I'll just call it by what it is, the image slider post. Then once we have the title, we need to add some content here in the blog post box right here, so I'll just add in some demo content. I will once again on the right hand side add this to the blog category. I'm not going to give any tags this time. For the set featured image, I'm just going to click on set featured image, and then I'll click on upload files and select files. Then I'll choose my file by just highlighting it right here and clicking on choose. Once the image has been uploaded, then I will give it a title as well as an alternative text, and I'll click on Set Featured Image. Next, this time for the head content, I'm going to click on None, and a drop-down box pops up, and the one that I want this time is the image slider. I'll leave the defaults as they are, so I won't touch that. For the post summary, I also want to click on the landscape image slider. And the author info I do want to display, so I'll click on yes. And for post carousels, I want to display recent posts. And then this time, I'm going to scroll down here where it says post slider images and click on add images. Then I'll click on upload files and select files. And the two files that I want, I'm going to just highlight them both right here, two at a time, and click on choose. And then each of these images, one at a time, I'm going to add a title and an alternative text. Once a title and alternative text has been added, I'm going to click on Add to Gallery to add these two images to my gallery. Okay, once we have that all set up, I'm going to click on Publish to publish this blog post. Once the post has been published, then I'll click on View Post to view the post. And here we see we have our image slider post directly above the actual blog post itself, and we can just rotate through each of these two different images. Also, when we go to the blog archive page by clicking on blog, we see we have a landscape image slider right here, and when I click on these arrows, we can rotate through all of the different slider images that have been added to this particular carousel. Okay, so the last one that I want to show you how to add is a video. So to add a video, I'm going to once again go up to the top, click on Post, plus New, and then Post. This time I'll just call this video. You can give your blog post title whatever title you'd like, and then I'm going to add some content right here. Once we have the content, then on the right hand side I will click on Blog to add this to the blog category. You can give it some titles if you'd like, and for Set Featured Image I will click on this link, Set Featured Image. Then I'll click on Upload Files and Select Files to select a new file. And this time I'll just choose this file right here and click on Choose. Then we can add a title and an alternative text. And once we've added the title and alternative text, I'll click on Set Featured Image. So once a featured image is set, the next step is once again going over to head content. This time when I click on None, I'm going to choose Video. I'm going to leave these two boxes here so it goes to the defaults. And then for the post summary here, I'm going to click on Video. Then, as we did in the previous examples, for the author info, I'll click on Yes, and post carousel, also I'll say yes, display recent post, and here we need to, in the video, post video box, this is where we can add the embed code for the YouTube video, the Vimeo video, or some other video. So we need to add the embed code right here. So I'll just go to my YouTube channel by going over to my YouTube, and I'm going to be adding this video right here. So I'm just going to scroll down, click on share as we did previously, and then click on embed. And then I'm going to grab this embed code by just highlighting it and clicking on copy. And then when I go back to my video post right here, I'm just going to paste in the embed code right here. Now I am going to remove the width and the height because last time that's what created those black bars above and below the video. So I'll just delete that and let the theme take care of the dimensions of the actual video. So I just have my embed code added here, and then I'm going to scroll up to the top and click on publish to publish this blog post. Once a post has been published, we can click on View Post to view the post. And now here we see the video above the blog post just as we wanted it. Also, when we check out the blog archive page by clicking on blog, here we see on the blog archive page, you can also view the video directly within the blog archive page. So that is how you add a video to your blog, a landscape slider, as well as a simple image and an image carousel post. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do when we're looking at our blog, for example, we have all of this content here. This is customized content in the sidebar, so we can configure that, and we can also add a footer with more customized content down below. So let's take care of the sidebar content right here by going to the left-hand side, going to the dashboard by clicking on dashboard. Then here I'm going to hover over appearance and click on widgets, and the widgets are what will determine which content is placed in both the sidebar as well as in the footer. So by default, when you install WordPress, it comes with all this other kind of widgets here in the sidebar. I'm going to remove all these by simply dragging them over and releasing them to remove them all together like so. The one I do want to keep is the search bar, so I'll keep that. I also want to add some of these special Virtue widgets. There's an About with Image widget, a Contact vCard, an image grid, recent posts, social links. So how about adding some social icons? So this one I want, this Virtue theme social links. So I'll just drag this widget to the primary sidebar and release it. And here we can just give it a title. Here you can add your different URLs for your different social networks so anyone can easily connect with you. So once you've added the URLs of your different social links, then you can just come to the bottom here and click on Save. Then to close this, you can just click on this caret right here to close this box. So the next thing I want to add to my sidebar right here is an image with a call to action that goes to my e-commerce shop page. So for example, what we're headed toward, this is the completed demo site, and here in the sidebar on the blog archive page, I want to add an image which when you click on it, it will go to the shop page. So to add this to our website, going back to our widget screen right here, the first thing we need to do is we need to upload the image. So going over to media right here, I'm going to hover over media and click on add new. Then I'm going to click on select files. Then I'm going to choose the image, which is right here, and click on open. Then once the image has been uploaded, we need to click on this link here that says edit to grab the URL link of the image. So here in the edit media screen, we can see here's the image, and on the right hand side, here's all the details related to the image, including the file URL. So I'm going to highlight all of that and copy it. Then I'm going to go back to the widgets area by hovering over appearance and clicking on widgets. And then here in the primary sidebar, we need to add the text widget. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here, grab the text widget and drag it up to the primary sidebar. And then here in this box, we need to add some HTML code. So I'm going to add the HTML code here. If you can't see it, no worries. I will drop this code in the video so you can see it there as well. So here I'm just going to add the HTML code for the image first, which is a bracket, IMG, and then a space, and then SRC, and an equal sign, a quotation. And then here we have the URL for the image. This is the URL for the image. And then we close it off with a quotations and a closing bracket. Now to also add the link to make sure that this image is not simply an image, but that it's activated, and when you click on it, it goes to another page, we need to add additional HTML here. So I'm just going to add that right here. So here's the opening tag for the link. It's a Ahref tag, and again, I'll be sure to include the code so you can read it easily. You can just swap out my URL, of course, my shop URL, with your own URL for where you want the image to go when you click on it. So this is the link URL right there. At the end of the code, we need to close out the link. So I'm just going to also add a closing bracket right there, which is a bracket, a slash, a forward slash, an A, and then the closing bracket. So this is what the code looks like. I'm just going to click on Save to save this code. Okay, once we have this all set, I'm just going to close that for the moment. Next, we need to configure all the different content in the footer sections right here. We have 4 different footer columns. So for starters, I'm going to click on this caret to open it. And first, what I want to do, there's a bunch of Virtue widgets here. As mentioned previously, we have the Virtue About With image, the contact vCard and image grid and recent posts and social link. So the one that I want now is the About With image. This allows for an image and a simple about text. So I'm going to grab that, drag it to footer number 1. And here we see there's image and text. So first I'm going to click on Upload to upload a new image. Then I'll click on Upload Files and select Files. Then here is the file that I want, this one right here, and I'm going to click on Open. And as we did previously, I'm going to give this a title and an alternative text. And then when I scroll down here, we can see we can link it to something. For this particular image, I'm not going to link this to anything, so I'll click on None. And alignment, sure, I'll just say Center. And I want the full size, so I'll leave it like that, and then click on Insert into Post. Next, we need to add some text, so I'm just going to paste in the text right there and click on Save. And here we have all the content that I'll be adding in footer column 1. So I'm going to close this by clicking on this bracket one more time, and now I'm going to open footer column 2 by clicking on the same drop-down little arrow right there. And for column number 2, I want to add the Virtue image grid. So I'm just going to drag this one to the column 2 section, and this will display the recent posts in an image grid kind of layout format. So there's a number of settings here that we can configure, including a title. So I'll just call this Post Gallery, and I'll leave all the defaults set like that. That looks good. And then I'll just click on Save to save the settings. Next, we have 2 more. So I'm going to click on this one, footer number 3, column number 3. And here, because this is an e-commerce website, I want to add some of the featured products in the footer. So I'm just going to scroll down. There's a bunch of different WooCommerce widgets that you can include as well, and this one is the one that I want, the WooCommerce featured products. So I'm just going to grab that and drag it up to footer number 3, and you can choose how many products you want to have displayed. I'll just leave it as 2 and click on Save. Finally, footer column 4, I'm going to click on this drop down box, and once again I'm going to use the Virtue social link. So I'll just grab that and drop that in column 4, and here you can give it a title once again, and you can fill out all the different URLs for your different social networks. Okay, so once you have all the links set up, go ahead and click on Save to save your settings for this particular widget. Okay, so we have all of these different things set up. That looks great. The other thing that I want to note is in the primary sidebar, I wanted to mention that it's always a good idea to have a way for your readers to sign up for your email list, and put a box that looks something like this. So to add a box like this, I created another video that you can check out. I'm not going to cover it in this particular video because there's another video that will walk you through all the different steps to create this sign up form box. So I will drop the video link in this video so you can come to this video here and go through the process of setting up your email forms both on your sidebar, in your footer, and at the bottom of your blog post. So I encourage you to check out this video. It's a pretty quick video and it will walk you all the way through the steps to get your email form set up so that you can add it to your sidebar right here. So here we are back on the home page of our website, and if you've been following along and you made it this far, then most likely your website looks something like this. So we have one last thing to do before we finish this particular website, and that is to add the WooCommerce e-commerce features. When we do that, the featured products will show up here in the footer, and they'll also show up on the shop page. So let's add the WooCommerce e-commerce features right now. To do that, I'm going to go back to the dashboard and click on Dashboard. So here we are on the dashboard. To add a new product to our WordPress website, we could go up to the top and click on plus new and then click on product, or on the left-hand side, we can click on products. And here on our product screen, we can click on the link at the top that says add product, or finally on the left-hand side, we can hover over products and click on add product. So WordPress gives us a number of different ways to add a new product to our e-commerce website. At the top here, I'm just going to click on this link that says add product to add my new product. And the first thing we need to do on the add new product screen is give our product a name. So I'm going to call this Brazil Tee, since I'm going to be adding a Brazil t-shirt to my e-commerce catalog. Next, here in this white box, I'm just going to add some content. This is going to be the description about the product. Next, on the right-hand side where it says product categories, we want to add our product to a product category. So I'm just going to click on this link that says add new product category, and then I'm going to add the category, just type it in, and then I'm going to click on this button one more time to add the new product category. Once the product category has been added, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to give my new product some tags. So I'll just add Brazil, and I'll spell it two different ways, the Portuguese way and the English way. Note that I am separating these two different tags with a comma. When you've added your tags, go ahead and click on Add to add your new tags. Next, scrolling down, we need to add a featured image for our product. So I'm going to click on this link that says Set Featured Image. Then I'm going to click on Upload Files and select Files. And here is the file that I want. So I'm going to highlight the image and click on Open. And once the image has been uploaded, then I'm going to give it a title and an alternative text. Once the title and alternative text have been added, I'm going to click on Set Featured Image to set my image. Once the image has been set, then we can look over on the product data section right over here, and we have a number of different product types we can choose from. When I click on this box right here where it says Simple Product, they all pop up right here underneath product type. We have a simple product, a group product, external affiliate product, or a variable product. So the first one that I want to create right now is a simple product, so I'll just keep it as simple product, and we need to add a price. So I'm just going to give the price right here. I'll make it $40. Of course, note that we're looking at pounds right now, so I'll show you in just a moment how to change this from pounds to another currency. And I'm not going to give this a sale or set a schedule for a sale right now, so I'll just leave that blank. So this is how you can set up a simple product. That's the basic thing that you need for a simple product, is simply the price. I'll show you in a moment how to create a variable product. For this particular product, I'm just going to be selling one color, that's it, and one price. So that's why we call it a simple product. If you'd like to give some attributes to this particular product, you can do so by clicking on the Attributes tab right here. Then you can click on Add, and then we would give the name of the attribute. So I might want to call this the color. And then for the value, because this is a simple product, I'm only offering one color for this product, so I'll just put teal. And yes, we can make this visible on the product page, so I'll click on that button right there, and then I'll click on Save Attributes. So this is optional. If you'd like to include attributes for your simple product, you can do so. It's not necessary. It's really up to you. Once a color attribute has been added, there's one more attribute I want to add, which is the size. I want this to be a one size fits all because, again, this is a simple product, so it only comes in one size. So to just let everyone know that this is a one size fits all, I'm going to click on Add to add my other attribute, and I'll just call this the name of size, and the value will be one size fits all. Once we have our size set there, I will make this visible on the product page, so I'm going to click on this checkbox right there, and then I'm going to save this one as well by clicking on Save Attributes. Once we've added this information in here, then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm also going to add a short product description as well. So I'll just pop in the other content I added earlier, and I'll just reduce it by eliminating everything but the first sentence. Once you have this all ready to go, you can come up to the top and click on Publish to publish your new simple product. Once a product has been published, we can check it out by clicking on View Product. And here we see our new product added right here. We have the thumbnail image, which when I click on it, it will open up into a really cool lightbox display so I can see it really well. And then here on the right-hand side, we have the product title, the price, which I'll change the currency in just a moment, a short product description, and an add to cart button right here. We also see it's categorized in the category called t-shirts with these two tags. And when I scroll down, I can see my larger product description right here. I can click on the additional info, and here we can see the different attributes here, both the color in teal and the size, one size fits all. And if we have any reviews, those will show up right here in the reviews tab. So this is how we add a simple product to our WordPress e-commerce website. The next example is let's add another product, but this time we'll add a variable product with multiple colors and multiple sizes. So to go up to the top, once again, I'm going to click on plus new and then click on product to add a new product. Then here on the add new product screen, once again, I'm going to give the new product a title. And once we've added the product title, I'm also going to add some description content in this white box right here. Next, on the right-hand side, I'm going to add this new product to a product category. This time I'll also add it to the t-shirts category since this also is a t-shirt. Then scrolling down, I'll just give it a tag right here, volunteer, keep calm. And both of these tags are separated by a comma, and then I'll click on the add button right there. Then coming down once again, I'm going to give this product a featured image by clicking on set featured image and upload files and select files. And I'm going to select the image that I want right here and click on open. And as we did with the previous images, I'm also going to add a title and an alternative text. Once the title and alternative text have been added, I'm going to click on Set Featured Image to set the image. Once the image has been set, then on the left-hand side where it says product data, this time instead of a simple product, I'm going to add a variable product. This product is going to have different sizes and different colors. So I'm going to click on variable product. Then I'm going to click on attributes right here. I'm not going to touch any of these other sections. You can check them out if you'd like. If you'd like to use a SKU management system, you can do so. Also note that these different question marks, when you hover over them, you'll get a tooltip, and this will tell you exactly what this particular feature is. So here we see when I hover over the question mark, it says SKU refers to a stock keeping unit, a unique identifier for each product and service that can be purchased. So if you'd like to add that, you can give this a SKU ID number right here. Also, there's some other options including inventory. If you'd like to manage stock, you can check this box right here. If you'd like to set the stock status or allow back orders or sell this individually, these are all kinds of settings that you can add. I'm not going to add this. I'm going to keep it really simple in this example, but I do want to point out all these different options. You can just read through them, and once again, when you hover over the question mark, you'll get this tooltip which will explain what each of these things does. Okay, next we have shipping. If you'd like to manage the weight and dimensions and the shipping classes, you can do so. If you'd like to link this product to other products to either upsell the product or cross-sell the product, you can do so right here. And then finally, here we see there's the attributes section right here. So I am going to click on attributes, and the first attribute I want to create is size. So I'm going to click on add to add a new attribute. So for the name, I'm going to call this size. For the values, instead of one size fits all, I'm going to be offering various sizes. That's why it's a variable product. So for example, I'm going to be adding a small size. And also note that I'm using this pipe symbol. It's a vertical line, and it's located just above the right-hand return button on your keyboard. So when you're looking at your keyboard, you see there's the return button on the right-hand side. Just above that, there's a pipe symbol. It's a vertical line. So I'm going to separate each of the values with this pipe symbol. So I'm going to have small, medium, and large. And then once I have my sizes and values set, I'm going to click on these two boxes right here. This one says visible on the product page because I want customers to be able to see these different options. Also, I need to use these different attributes for my variations. So You want to make sure that you click on both of these boxes right here and then click on Save Attributes to save the attributes. Okay, once these attributes have been saved, I want to create one more type of attribute, and that's the color. So again, I'm going to click on Add to add a new attribute, and this time I'm going to call it Color. So for the value, I'm going to call it navy, and I'm also going to be offering this particular t-shirt in teal. So here we have the two different colors. Once again, I'm going to click on these two boxes to, number one, make this particular attribute visible on the product page, and also to use it for variations. So you want to make sure that you click on both of these boxes right here, and once again click on Save Attributes. Once the attributes have been saved, next we need to click on Variations. So I'm going to click on Variations right here. And once we click on Variations, then the first thing we see here, it says Default Selection. So it's really important to make sure that you set a default selection. Otherwise, these variations will not be visible on the actual product page. So step number one is we need to set the default location to any one of the various attributes. Any one you want, it just has to say something. So I'll click on small, that'll be my default. And also we need to add the color, I'll put it as navy. So my default selection is a small navy. So that's the first thing we want to do. And step number two here, we need to click on Add Variation to add the variation. Here you just need to go one by one and you need to set up each of these different variations. So I'm going to click on small in navy, and I'm going to give it a price of 40. Again, we'll change the currency in a moment. You need to set the price for every single version of this particular item. So we're going to do it for a small teal will be 40. Also, I'm going to click on Add Variation once again. I'm going to do a small, actually I'll do a medium in navy, and also I'll do it as 40, and then Add Variation. And this time we'll do the large in navy. So you see I'm just going one by one, each size and each color. So I'll also do the price here of 40. If you don't add all of these, then the price will be not visible for one of the different versions, one of the different variations. So now I'm going to click last time, Add Variation. This time we're going to do the other color and all the sizes. So we'll start back at small one more time, and this time we'll do the teal color. And I'll add the price of 40 here, Add Variation, and this time I'll say medium in teal at 40. And finally, Add Variation, the last one, I'll say large in teal, and here we have the product price of 40. Okay, so once all of those have been added, then we can come down here to the short product description, and I'm going to add in the previous description, but this time I'm going to just reduce it. So once again, it's just 1 or 2 sentences long, so it's a short product description. And when you've added in all of these different things, all your attributes and all your variations, all your prices, we can come up to the top and we can click on Publish to publish this variable product. Once a product has been published, we can check it out by clicking on View Product. And here we see our product on the product page. So we have the thumbnail image once again, which when I click on it, it opens up into a really nice light box display so you can see it really clearly. Then we have the product title, the short description, and here you can see now we have our different variations of this product that a customer can choose from. So they can choose the size by just clicking on this drop down box, and they can choose small, medium, or large, or they can choose the color, one of these two colors that we set up. Then we have the Add to Cart button, the category, and the tags it's been organized into. We have the full description right here. They can click on additional information to see all the different attributes and variations that this product is available in. And then when they click on reviews, they can either submit a review or read other reviews. Also note that we're starting to see related products down below. Because this particular product, this Keep Calm and Volunteer t-shirt, is categorized in the t-shirt category, it will also be displaying here all the other related t-shirts will be showing up down below. So that is how you add a simple product and a variable product in WooCommerce. Let's take a look at some of the other options. I'm not going to add them, but I just want to point them out really quick. When we go up to plus new and click on product, the other two products types that you can add when we scroll down here, once again, I'm not going to add these right now for in the essence of time, but I do want to point them out. When you click on product data here, you can create a group product or an external affiliate product. I'm often asked, how do you add an external affiliate product? Well, if you click on this link right here, you'll note that here are all the different attributes that you can fill out related to external affiliate products. You can add, the most important thing right here is you would enter the external URL of the product. You would enter that right in this field right here. And then you can change the button text title if you'd like right here, and you can set the price and any sale prices. So if you want to add an external affiliate product, this is the section you would do that in. Also, I'm also often asked, how do I add a downloadable product? And you can do that by clicking on this button right here. Note that when I hover over the check mark, it says downloadable products give access to a file upon purchase. And here is a virtual products. It says this is a virtual products are intangible and are not shipped. So you can read more about this at WooThemes in the WooCommerce documentation. But again, I just want to point out these other different product types you can choose from when you are creating an e-commerce website using the WooCommerce plugin. So we have our two products right now. When I go to visit the site, and now when I click on shop to go to the shop page, here we see our two products listed right here. Of course, the more products we add, they'll all just start displaying on this page and we'll have lots of products added, but in the essence of time, I'm only going to be adding two products, a simple product and a variable product. And pretty much you would just continue repeating that process, rinse and repeat, to keep adding more products. You do it just like this, how we did this one and just how we did this one, to create all of your different products. Also note we still have some missing featured products down here, so to feature these two products we've created in the footer, we want to go up to the top, click on dashboard. Then we want to go to our product page right here, so I'm going to click on products. Then you need to, one by one individually, you need to click on quick edit for the product. So I'm going to click on quick edit. Then we get this screen, and right here there's a box that says featured. So we need to click on this box to feature this product and then click on the update button. And I'm going to do the same thing with the Brazil tea. I'm going to click on quick edit and then scroll down, and I'm going to click on this featured box right here and click on update. And now when we go back to the home page by going up to the top and clicking on visit site, now when I scroll down to the footer, now we can see our two products in the footer, the two featured products. So the next thing we want to do, we see that this is still, the currency is in pounds. So let's change that right now to a different currency. To change the currency, we want to go up to the top, click on dashboard. Next, we want to hover over WooCommerce and go to WooCommerce settings. So I'm going to click on settings right here. And then here you can see on the general tab, here we have the general options, and the base location is the UK and the currency is in pounds. So to change this, I'm simply going to click on the country name right here. There's all these different countries you can choose from. I will choose California, US, and then for currency, I will just scroll down. There's all these different currencies you can choose from, and I'll just choose US dollars. And once that is all set, I'll come to the bottom and I'll click on Save Changes to save the changes. Once the settings have been saved, note that at the top there's all these additional settings that we can choose, all separated by these different tabs. Once the settings on the General tab have been saved, note that there's a number of different settings as well on all these additional tabs right here at the top. So I'm just going to go through them one by one, starting with the Catalog tab. So I'm going to click on Catalog, and here we can see there's a number of different catalog options and how you can display products both on the shop page as well as here we see, for example, the first item is the default product sorting. And again, when you hover over each one of these, it will say exactly what it does. So this particular one controls the default sort order of the catalog. Here, the next one, shop page display. Here you can control what is shown on the actual shop page if you want to show the products or if you want to show subcategories or both. So one by one, you can just look at all the different options here. There's a lot of different settings. The ones that I want to point out that I often get questions about on YouTube include weight and dimensions. So this is where you can change the weight. For example, when I hover over this, this controls what unit you will define your weights in. So a number of people are asking, how do I change the weight unit? Well, this is where you would come under product data on the catalog tab. And when I click on this, here you can change it from kilograms to grams, pounds, or ounces. The other thing that I want to point out is related to pricing options. This is another question I often get on YouTube related to either if you do not want the decimals or you do want the decimals or you want more decimals. Here you can choose the number of decimal points that will be displayed in the prices. And here's an example. So if you remove the zeros after the decimal point, $10.00 will simply become $10. Also, you can change the currency position. By default, it will be on the left, but if you want to put it on the right or put it on the left or right with space, you can choose those settings right here. Finally, scrolling down, here are the image options. As it notes, these settings affect the actual dimensions of images in your catalog, and the display on the front end will still be affected by the CSS styles. So if you need to change any of your dimensions for your images, this is where you will set the dimensions. Then, as it notes, it says after changing these settings, you may need to regenerate your thumbnails. So you can click on this link to learn more about how to regenerate your thumbnails. Namely, you'll need to get a plugin called Regenerate Thumbnails. So if you change these dimensions, then you also want to add a plugin to your WordPress website called Regenerate Thumbnails. So you can click on this link to learn more about that. Okay, great. So now we've kind of done a quick overview of the catalog tab right here. I'm going to click on Pages. When you set up WooCommerce and you set up the pages will automatically be added to this particular tab right here. If you do not see any words here, then you need to make sure that you set up your pages one more time, because the WooCommerce e-commerce site will only work if all the pages here are set up. So this is your Pages tab. Next, we have Inventory. If you'd like to manage stock, you can set those settings on this tab. Next, we have Taxes, so I'm going to click on Tax. So this panel will give you all the different options you need for taxes. Next, we have Shipping. Here on the Shipping Options tab, you can decide what kind of shipping method you will provide on your website. Also, you can determine whether or not you want to enable the shipping calculator on the cart page. So I do not want to include the shipping calculator, so I'm going to uncheck this particular box. Then I'm just going to come down here and click on Save Changes. Also note that here we see the default shipping method down below. Currently there's a purple check mark next to free shipping, and in this demo I want to provide free shipping, so I'm just going to click on this to make this the default, to set free shipping as a default, and once again I'm going to click on Save Changes to save my changes. Now there's a number of other different shipping methods you can choose from, including flat rate shipping, free shipping, international delivery, and local pickup. So first of all, I'm just going to click on flat rate. If you'd like to enable a flat rate shipping, you can click on this box right here, and then you can decide what the price will be. Note that when I hover over this question mark, it says enter a cost per order, leave blank to disable. So I'm not going to set up a flat rate shipping. I'm going to have free shipping in this demo, but if you do want to allow or enable or set up a standard rate flat rate shipping, you would click on this box and then you can add the price of the shipping right here. So I'm going to leave that unchecked. You can also see that there's additional costs that you can add related to shipping if you'd like. So I am once again offering free shipping, so I'm not going to enable this. I'll just leave it unchecked, but I want to point out this is where you would add a flat rate shipping if you'd like to do so. Moving on to free shipping, I'm going to click on this link right here. And here we see that the enable free shipping check mark is checked. So right now I have free shipping on my site, which is exactly what I want. Next, I'm going to click on International Delivery. If you'd like to set up International Delivery, you can do so by simply clicking on this box, and then you can go through all the different shipping related settings for International Delivery. Again, everything that you see here with a question mark, you can hover over it and it will explain exactly what it does. If you want local delivery or local pickup, you can set that as well. I'm not going to include that. I only want free shipping. Free shipping, when I click on shipping options right here, we see that here the only thing checked right now in purple is free shipping. So right now this website in the demo is set up for free shipping. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to set up our payment gateways. So I'm going to click on Payment Gateways, and here we can see by default we have direct bank transfer, check payment, and PayPal are all set up. And I actually want to disable everything except PayPal. So I'm just going to click on this checkbox here to make PayPal the default, and then I'll click on Save Changes. Then I'm going to go one by one to all these different pages right here, and I'm going to disable the ones that need to be disabled and set up the ones that need to be set up. So starting with the direct bank transfer, this BACS, I'm going to disable that by unchecking this particular one, scrolling down and clicking on Save Changes. Once bank transfer has been disabled, then I'll move on to the Check tab by clicking on Check. I also want to uncheck this and disable it, so I'm going to uncheck this right here and then click on Save Changes to save my changes. Next, we have cash on delivery, another one that I do not want, but I'm going to click on it anyway, cash on delivery. And this one is already disabled, so that's great. And then I'm going to check on Midjara checkout. And if you'd like to set up or connect your e-commerce website with Midjara, you can read all about that here and you can set that up here. I'm not going to be using this service. I'm going to go directly to PayPal by clicking on PayPal. So here we see that PayPal is enabled, which is great. We see that it says pay via PayPal. You can also pay with your credit card if you don't have a PayPal account. I'm going to set up PayPal right here by clicking on Enable. Then I'm going to add my PayPal email and the receiver email. And then I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to uncheck this that says Enable PayPal Sandbox to disable that. And then I'm going to click on Save Changes to save the changes. Once a payment method has been saved, then we need to click on Emails. Here you can set up the email sender options that will be used in the WooCommerce emails, starting with the from name. So here we see this is not really the best name right here, so I'm going to override that by just putting in my domain name right there. And then I will leave my from email address right here. That all looks good. If you'd like to add an email template, you can fill out these settings right here, and when you're ready, go ahead and click on Save Changes to save the changes. Also note that right here where it says the email footer text, I also don't really want it to say Katrina's WordPress, so I'll just override that, and I'll also put my domain name in right there. If you'd like to remove this Powered by WordPress, you can do so. I'll just leave it for now, and then I'm going to click on Save Changes to save my changes. Once the email settings have been saved, the next step is to check out the Integration tab, so I'll click on that. And here you can add your Google Analytics ID if you'd like, and you can set up any kind of tracking code that you'd like by checking these boxes right here. So I just want to point this out so you can read more about it, and when you've set this up the way you'd like, you can click on Save Changes. The other thing I want to point out about WooCommerce is that you can set up some coupons on your WooCommerce e-commerce website. So here on the left-hand side, when I look at WooCommerce right here, there's a coupons link, so I'm going to click on Coupons. And to add a new coupon, you can click on this link here that says Add Coupon. So there's lots of different settings that you can set up for your coupon. You can read through all of them, whether you want to have a coupon on one product or on a certain dollar amount or currency amount that a customer is using. So you can read about all these different settings right here for coupons. The most simple coupon you can do would just be like to add a coupon code. So I'll just put my coupon code right here. You can add a coupon description. This is optional. Here you can choose your discount type, whether it's a cart discount, a percentage discount, a product discount, or a product percentage discount. I'll just make it really simple and create a cart discount of $10. So that will be the coupon amount, and then you can once again check out all these different items, whether you want to enable free shipping, individual use, if you want to apply this before the tax, if you want to exclude sale items. So here are all the different settings. You can read through them. I'm just going to create a simple across the cart $10 discount, and I'm going to click on Publish to publish this coupon. Okay, so we have updated our coupon and created a coupon. Let's go check out what the site looks like now. I'm going to go up to the top and click on Visit Site. So here we are on the homepage of our new WordPress website using the responsive e-commerce website theme called Virtue. Now let's go through the process that a customer will take to order a product on your e-commerce website. So I'm going to click on the shop page right here. And here we see we have 2 items that we've added to our website so far. So I'm going to click on this one, the Brazil tea. And here we see the product image, the title, the price, a short description, and the add to cart button. So I'm going to click on add to cart. And when I do that, we see that we'll get a message here that says the Brazil tea was successfully added to your cart. And you can click on this button here to view the cart. So I'm going to click on this button right here. Here on the cart page, we'll see a small product image, the product title, the price, the quantity that's being ordered, and the total. Down below, we'll see the cart total. So here we see the subtotal is $40, the shipping is free shipping, so the order total is $40. So let's take a look at one more item. I want to continue looking through the site and adding some more items to our site right here, to our cart. So I'm going to click on this button one more time, Shop, to add another item to the cart. And this time I'm going to add the Keep Calm and Volunteer Tea. So I'm going to click on this particular item. And let's see, it looks like, sorry, no products match your selection. Please choose a different combination. Okay, so we should not be getting this message. So I think I know what's going on with this. So we need to actually, I'm going to click on OK. That's not a good message. If you get that message, then as it notes here, we see that the size, choose an option. There should be a default size and color listed here. So in the event that you get that message, then we need to check out once again this product. So before we continue, I'm going to go up here and do a little bit of troubleshooting. So once again, not so happy that this happened during my video, but in the event that it happens to you, I'm going to show you how you can fix it. So going up to the top, I'm going to click on Edit Product. Then I'm going to scroll down, and here where it says Product Data, I'm going to click on Variations. And here is the issue. So the default selection is a small navy, but note that we only have a small teal, and a small teal is listed twice, which we don't want. So somehow this didn't actually get selected. The teal was selected. So we need to make sure this says navy. So you should have a different variation for every single one of your sizes and colors or other attributes that you've added to your product data right here. So now that I have small and navy set and I have the default here, small and navy, I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to click on Update to update this product page. Now I'm going to view the product page by clicking on View Product. And now we see when we go to the page, we no longer get that pop-up message. And instead, here where it says size, it'll say small, which is the default size. And it also says the color is navy, which is the default color. So that looks so much better. So now we can choose by clicking on this particular field right here. We get all these other options we can now choose from. And a customer can also choose between the 2 colors we've added as well. So I'm going to choose a medium size in navy, and then I'll click on this button here to add it to the cart. Once this item has been successfully added to the cart, we'll get a message letting us know that it has been added to the cart, and we can click on this button here that says View Cart to view our cart. So here on the cart page, now I have 2 items listed, the Brazil tea and the Keep Calm and Volunteer tea, both with the thumbnails. We see the price of each one of these is $40. I'm ordering 1 unit of each for a total of $40. We also see for this particular one, the Keep Calm and Volunteer tea, we see that we're ordering the medium in a color navy. So now when we scroll down, we see the cart total is $80 with free shipping, so the ordered total is $80. However, I do have a coupon, so I can add that right here to apply the coupon. So I'm just going to add the coupon code right here and click on Apply Coupon. And here we see the coupon code was applied successfully. And now when I scroll down, we see that the subtotal of $80 and the free shipping and the $10 discount is listed right here. So the order total is $70. Okay, so now a customer could proceed to checkout by clicking on this link here that says Proceed to Checkout. Okay, here on the checkout page, then a customer could fill in their billing address and their shipping address. So as we see, I've added that right here. Then we're going to scroll down. They would review the details of their order, noting that this is $70. And then down below here, as it notes, pay via PayPal. You can pay with your credit card if you do not have a PayPal account. So this is how we have it set up for this demo. Then a customer would click on this button to place the order. Once a customer clicks on place order, then they'll see the order summary on the left-hand side. As it notes, the item total is $70. The discount has been applied. And then here on the right side, it says choose a way to pay. You can either pay with your PayPal account by signing into PayPal here, or as it notes here, it says don't have a PayPal account. You can click on this, and as it notes, you can pay with a debit card or a credit card by just filling in your information here. So once a customer fills in all of their credit card details, then they would come down here to the bottom and they would click on review and continue to make their payment. So 2 more things before we wrap up. Number 1, I want to show you the alternative homepage that you can create if you want to have a focus simply on your e-commerce website. So as we see here, this is the homepage that, if you've been following along, this is what your homepage will look like. But I want to create a homepage where the shop page is the main homepage. So to do that, I'm going to go up to the top, click on Dashboard. Then I'm going to scroll down to Settings and I'm going to click on Reading. And right now, if you like the way the homepage looks like now, you can keep it on your latest post. However, if you want to change the homepage and have the shop page be the homepage, then you can click on this button here, a static image. The front page, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to make it the shop page as the front page, and the post page is going to be the blog. So this is the alternative home page. It's optional if you want to have your shop page be the home page. So I'm just going to set it up like that and click on Save Changes. And now when we look at the home page by going up to the top and clicking on Visit Site, now we see this is what the home page looks like. So again, this is an alternative home page if you prefer to have the shop page and the e-commerce features be featured on the home page. The other thing we would need to do is we would need to create another home menu item right here. So I would just go up over here, click on Menus, and then here in the menu structure, I want to click on Links, and I'm going to give this the URL of the home page with a link text of home and click on Add to Menu. Then I'm going to drag that up to the top and then I'm going to click on Save Menu. And now when we look at the home page by going to Visit Site, now we see we have our home page menu item right here, and the home page is the shop page. So once again, this is optional. This is an alternative home page for your website. I prefer actually having the original, the default view. So I'm going to go back to the top and switch it back by clicking on Dashboard, then going to Settings and Reading. And then I'm just going to click on Your Latest Post to make sure my latest posts are featured, and then I'll click on Save Changes. And now we see, once the settings are saved, when I go to visit the site, now we see that the original homepage is set up on the homepage right now, which is great. Now the other thing I wanted to touch upon was in the blog section, when I click on blog and I go to my blog post by clicking on this one, for example. And when I go to my blog post, here we have an author section, an author bio. So to add the author bio right here, I'm going to go up to the top, hover over my name, and click on Edit My Profile. And then I'm going to scroll down, and here we see that here is about yourself. It says bio info, and here you can add your actual bio. And once you add something in this box, your bio, then come to the bottom here and click on Update Profile. And once a profile has been updated, now when we go back to the blog post by clicking on Visit Site, and then blog. Now when I check out one of my posts by clicking on this one, for example, now when I scroll down, you see here is the actual bio. So that is how you can add an author bio right here. Finally, last little tip for your WordPress website is making sure that your URL links are search engine friendly. So this is really important that you change your permalinks. So to do that, I'm going to go to Dashboard, and then I'm going to go to Settings, and you see there's a link here that says Permalinks. So go ahead and click on Permalinks. Now by default, permalinks are the web URLs that are featured in the browser field, as we can see right here. So this entire thing right here, this is the permalink. So by default, when you install WordPress, it will say default, and it will most likely just have a page number, which is not a very helpful or descriptive kind of form for your URL. It's much better to have words because search engines can read the words, but these numbers mean nothing to search engines. So it's always a good idea whenever you're setting up a WordPress website, one of the first things that you should do is come to permalink settings right here. It's under settings, permalinks, and you want to change it from default to pretty much anything else that has words in it. So day and name is good, month and name, or post name, or you can create a custom structure. I usually prefer just the post name. That way I don't have dates because that keeps my content a little bit more fresh. When you see old dates, sometimes, a lot of readers may think that it's old, but actually a lot of times the content is still relevant. So I prefer just taking the dates out altogether, but do whatever you like, of course. It's your preference. I just recommend and encourage you in general to just add anything that's not the default right here. So I'm going to click on post to make sure that it says post name, and then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click on save changes. Okay, so now the permalink structure has been updated. Here we are back on the homepage of our WordPress website theme using the free responsive e-commerce WordPress theme called Virtue. So if you've been following along, most likely your website looks something like this. Thank you so much everyone for joining, and thanks to everyone on YouTube for the suggestion to create a video about the Virtue theme. This is a beautiful e-commerce WordPress website theme. If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to share this video with your friends, like the video, comment on the video, and favorite the video. And I'll be coming out with more videos related to WordPress and how to grow your business on the web. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel for updates on upcoming videos. To continue the conversation about the Virtue theme as well as about WordPress in general and other topics related to building a business on the web, please join me on my website at 77webstudio.com. Finally, I want to give a big shout out of thanks to Cadence Themes, the developer of this beautiful free responsive e-commerce theme. Thanks for joining everyone. I'll see you in the next video.